Hey, nice that you could join us on another edition of the Medley Show with your girl, Simply Cecil. Now, last week on the program, we had quite some chat about educating you on how to stay safe online. We brought some experts and all in the studio. Well, today's edition will be a continuation of that discourse. Well, you know what I want to start with? It's something that I saw online. I guess somehow I missed it out when it actually trended some weeks back. And that is the remake of the movie Extraction by Ikorodu boys. Just some very young boys, based in Ikorodu, the Sani brothers, Muiz and Malik. They actually came together to do the remake of the movie Extraction. Not the Netflix movie Extraction, which actually trended here in Nigeria. These boys decided in their own very creative minds to put something together in their crude and local way, but actually it gained a lot of attention. They actually asked their friends to retweet till it got to Netflix, and Chris Hemsworth, of the lead actor of the movie Extraction. Now, I wouldn't want to tell you so much about it. I liked it, I enjoyed it. I believe a couple of you have actually seen it, but let me show you the remake of the movie Extraction by Ikorodu boys.
You were hoping if you spin the chamber enough times, you're gonna catch a bullet.
It's just easy that way.
This is an extraction.
So who are the players?
Biggest drug lord in India versus biggest drug lord in Bangladesh.
That's some mythic shit, huh?
It's a kidnapping. Drug lord's son. Clock's running at 16 hours. Proof of life as of 6 hours ago. Something's wrong. The city's on lockdown.
Yeah, no shit.
The job is fucked, Tyler. Tyler.
Just find my money. That kid is a walking corpse, and there's no way to protect him.
You have a family.
Yeah, son. You died a few years ago.
The best thing you could do for that kid would be to put a bullet in his brain.
We can send a chopper and get you out. But you gotta leave the kid behind.
Are you gonna leave me in the street?
I'll get you home.
Wow, okay, Ikorodu boys, they actually did a very good one. Actually shot them within their neighborhood there in Ikorodu. Now you see what you can do with just your mobile phone. And of course, this whole lockdown period with children in school, it has actually brought out the creativity in many. So instead of just sitting at home and actually doing nothing and wondering why fate is acting this way towards you, there are many things you know you can do. Congratulations to Ikorodu boys. They actually got the reaction they needed from Netflix, and Netflix actually said love this, and Chris Hemsworth actually said epic. And I hear they've been invited for the premiere of Extraction. So congratulations to the boys. And talking about Nigerians doing very well internationally, of course, we know that we had guys like the Hush Puppies who actually gave us bad name and the other guys. Well, we have, I just thought I could just mention the fact that we actually have some pretty good Nigerians in high places who are actually doing us so proud. That, of course, we have Okonjo-Iweala. Okonjo-Iweala, of course, we know she's gunning for the position of the head of the World Trade Organization. And we actually wish her good luck. I think she's just one Nigeria, one of us who's actually doing us really proud. We also have the Kamaru, the Nigerian Nightmare. Kamaru Usman, Nigerian Nightmare. He actually won his fights in the Ultimate Fight Championship. He actually retained his title, and he was even congratulated by the Nigerian president. Not forgetting many others. Oh, we even talk about the young boy and Tanti Oluwa, who actually won the World Chess Championship. Also, he's actually I think the reigning champion. So this just to say that we have so many Nigerians, much more Nigerians who are doing us proud as against those who are actually giving us a bad name. So let us celebrate them as we know them. So if you know any of such Nigerians, you can actually send us their name and image and tell us your story. We're here to celebrate you. All right, moving on. Last week I told you we talked about staying safe online, especially now with the whole COVID-19 around, and people have to actually live on their mobile phones. Education, children are actually on their phones and much more. Last week, I'll just give you a recap. I had two cybersecurity experts. I had Murtala, and also I had Innocent. Together, we talked in depth about how to stay safe. And this is just some excerpts on how last week went, and then we'll get back with today. Oh, I really hate to say I'm so sorry that did not play. Technical issues. Well, you know, that's the thing about these gadgets and devices. Sometimes they actually just act the way they want to act, even when you don't expect it. It happens sometimes. Apologies if we get it before the program ends. I sure will bring it to you. All right, still talking gadgets and their uses. We saw what the Corridor Boys actually did with their own gadgets, right? Now, at what age would you actually allow your children to actually have access to gadgets, mobile phones, tablets, have access to the internet and all that? At what point? Well, our crew went out on a feature called Viewpoint and asked some adults on the streets at what age and why they would like to give their children gadgets to actually handle. Is it safe? So here are their responses.
Someone trying to defraud you directly?
Yes.
You understand? Someone trying to label you or try to, let's say, how do I say, frame you online?
Okay.
That's a crime. That's crime on persons.
That's crime.
But crime against property is like attacking a web server of a company.
Wow. Okay.
Belonging to a company, or attacking a website belonging to a company by carrying out DDoS attack. We call them DDoS attack.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And deprive customers from accessing the bank. So it's an attack on that bank's property or that company's property.
But there's sometimes you go to some websites, there are annoying adverts come up.
Yes.
So that one is different. Okay, so you can also find a way of trying to make sure that you limit the kind of websites you visit, especially when you're using your personal devices, when you're using your personal computer. Because sometimes there are some promos you see, they say, click to win so.
Click
and you
bait.
click
Yes.
on it, okay?
Well,
That's
when
a
you
click
never
bet.
played any
Yeah, it's just a bet for you to get to their site, and then they'll be leading you with some juicy information, and you keep going. As you're doing that, your computer is getting somehow attacked.
A lot of this, yes, they use them. This websites now track your activities, and now in some cases sell your. Maybe let's say you go to an e-commerce site. By the way you browse from there, they will use those cookies to advertise directly, specifically to you, based on your interests.
Based on your interests.
So what these cookies do is that they track your digital footprint.
So get children to be safe. The first thing is by educating your children. But before you educate your child, you need to also know. So it's the first step for parents or guidance is to first of all know what and what is not safe online. That's the first. Then the second thing is now educate the children. Then the third one, there are tools online you could use to actually guide your kids. For instance, you give them devices. You can actually monitor their activities from your own device.
Yeah, I told you that these gadgets have a mind of their own, right? Exactly. Actually, what we just saw was what I actually introduced earlier, the recap of some of the points that we talked about with the security experts in the studio last week. So we saw Innocent and Muritala tell us how to stay safe and the way some of these operations actually happen. Now, what you'll be seeing now is the vox pop of parents and adults' reaction on if they will allow their children have access to gadgets and at what age and why they will. And here's what we found back.
My oldest child is 6 years, and I've already gotten for him an iPad, strictly for education, and then for them to also acquaint themselves with the modern technology. I mean, you playing your role as a parent matters a whole lot in this situation. It's not denying your children of the technology. This is a modern world, for crying out loud, you know. So they should get acquainted with the modern technology. That's the essence.
Well, I think at the age of 18 is okay. The child should have gone through secondary school. At least is matured to know a little bit of life.
Children of nowadays are not like us in those days that we are not access to all these digital gadgets. Children of nowadays, even if you give them phone or you don't give them, they pick your phone, they start operating immediately. So at least at the age of 8, you can give children phone. But they need to be guided on what to do and what not to do so that they cannot exceed their limits. My children can get access to phone, but not most those the ones that are highly internet connectivity, has a highly internet connectivity. I can give them the low one that they cannot be access to all those pornography, except if they can send it through Bluetooth or infrared to get access to it.
Like 5, 6 years at a young age, so that you can talk to your child while you are out. Like now, everywhere, children are at home, parents are at work. You have to be calling them from time to time to know what is happening at home. To be very sure, you bump into them and check what they're watching. Once in a while, you take their phone and check what is in their phone to be sure that they don't go in. Maybe they are taught by friends and all that.
My first child is close to 13. As we speak, I bought a phone for her. But by the grace of God, my family is safe. You understand? She has the right to live the kind of life she wants to live to. You understand? Yeah, whatever she wants to do with her life, let her go ahead. The obligation I owe her is just to give her a quality education, and that's all.
At the age of 14, I think it's the right age for her to start using a mobile phone and having access to tablets. What I believe in is teaching the kids the right way to go, which is the positive aspect of life. If my kids see me using mobile or tablet in a positive way, I don't think they're going to go the other way. They're going to follow what I do at home.
Handling a phone is a different thing for using phone. because of this shutdown, most of the e-learning classes go through phones. So what my advice is that for 4 years is okay, because the parents could allow them use it for the e-learning classes. They can retrieve it back from them. When they want to learn, they give back to them again. But from 10 upwards, they can use phones for communication. It's a little bit still risky for that 10 too. The only thing you parents, you just have to give your children a guideline and say it's not everybody you see on the line you communicate with. Only communicate with your mommy's friends, people that you know. You don't just accept people that you don't know.
As a matter of policy in the house, I told my children once they are 18, I'm going to buy them phone. I have a son who's 18 already, and I've bought him a phone. He's matured, he can discern from positive to negative.
I have to hold on for now. It's because they are girls. I want them to reach 18 years before I'll get them the mobile phone. Because if you are a girl, you get belly, they'll pursue you come out for school. But if you are a boy, you will remain in the school. So if it's a boy, God bless me with the children as a boy. Even though at 6 years, I can give them a mobile phone. But if as a girl, I don't want to spoil them earlier.
Well, different opinions, different parents, different opinions. At from I hear 5 years, I heard 18 years. Well, and their opinions 6 years, I think. I hear their opinions actually vary. Anyhow, I guess we'll talk about some of these even as we continue the program. Last week, you saw my security expert, and today I have with me in the studio Ime Udoko. Well, yeah, that is it. Udoko.
Yeah.
Udoko.
Udoko.
Udoko. All right. He's a cybersecurity consultant and with so many certifications to his credit. Thank you very much, Ime, for coming around.
Thank you very much for having me around.
Thank you for coming around. Let me just pick up from where the Vox Pop actually left off. At what age would you suggest a child should get access to a mobile phone or any of the gadgets?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I think it's quite interesting listening to parents, coming up with some people saying age 8, some saying 4, and some saying 18. However, I strongly believe that the age for exposing children to gadgets that would take them certainly to online presence should be dictated by the government.
Should be dictated by the government?
Yes. Take, for instance, in the United States of America, there is an act called COPPA, Child Online Protection Act. Child Online Protection Act. It was enacted in 1998. Yeah. And that act actually specifies what age a child should be exposed to this gadget and online presence. Specifically, I think it's age 13. Age 13. And it also, come up with ways to protect the child while they are online.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that question really needs to be directed to government, and government needs to come up with something similar to the COPPA Act, so that, this would serve as a guide to everyone.
Well, like you said, something similar, not copy and paste.
Not copy and paste, certainly, no.
So
because
we'll
this is a peculiar environment.
Okay.
Every group, every environment is different. But for our own environment, I think, let's look at what age do we consider someone to be matured enough to handle certain things.
Breaking news, brother. Let me tell you that the way children grew up back in the 80s, maybe 70s, I think, it's so different from now. Even their stature, their maturity level, and everything is totally different. So if in 1980s, 1990s, a child is actually matured at 16 or 17, today, a child of 12, 11 is that matured.
Yeah, I think there is difference between maturity, and what we need to understand is that when you say one is matured, that means that person can handle certain situations. So you can expose when some children by physical appearance, physique, may look bigger than their age, and that should not be the yardstick, to expose them to some of these gadgets. I think government needs to protect the children.
Okay. Mime says government should protect the children. Well, you can be part of the discussion and tell us about safety online. And You can share your questions and comments and observations with us on the program with the line, our feedback line, which is showing on your screen. Now let's talk about some with children being exposed to, even exposed now with this whole lockdown to these gadgets. We have many issues like cyberbullying and several other problems that that should be curtailed even as these children are active online. So can you share with us some of these and how we can address some of?
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's a very, very serious issue now, especially with this lockdown, because before now, people had excuses for not exposing their children to gadgets. Okay, one, you might give them gadgets, but you never give them the access to the internet. However, with the COVID-19 experience now, and the work from home policy, school from home policy coming up, everybody, doing things from home, the cyber presence is very, very high now. And that means that even at age 4, the nursery school age, children are already exposed to using these gadgets. And there is one thing I observed is that many children, they get easily addicted to games, online games. And some of these games, sincerely, are not too excellent for the child's growth. Because some of these games have some content which we would, classify as not too appropriate for children. And, one challenge many parents have is that regulating, monitoring what the child sees while online is a big challenge to many parents. So some of these children, they play these games, they understand it even more than you.
Tell us how can the gadget the child is using, how can it be compromised? How can the child's activity online be compromised?
Okay, let me give you a typical instance of a particular game, because I was talking about the games.
Okay.
Now, there is a game that has progression.
Okay.
It progresses with some things that looks very, very innocent.
Yes.
But as you play on, that game is pushing the child towards suicidal tendency.
No way.
Yes. In fact, there are some that will tell the child to do certain things which you as a parent, if you are exposed to that, you will scream. So these are the things the children are exposed to. There are some games that teach the children how to do some funny things, but at the inception, those games appear very, very innocent. So it's quite a frightening situation now, because many of these children, they download these games without the parents' knowledge. And also, let's come back, one of the effects, because sometimes the cyber hackers, they know that one of the easiest way to gain access to your devices is through freewares.
Yes.
And some of these games come free. And they know that children access them and download them. And as the children are using these games, they are compromising those gadgets. So they can hide malware behind the games, and you download the game, use it without knowing that it's actually collecting data.
Okay, we are trying as much as possible to educate people. So when you say some malware are hidden in it, so explain to us what exactly that is.
Okay, let me talk a little about what malwares are.
Okay.
Malicious applications. Malicious applications, they have different motives. One could be just to collect your own private data. Could be to gain access to your private folders where they can pick your pictures, pick your personal data, your contacts, including sometimes your banking information, your credit card information. So these are those applications, you don't see them, you can't control them, they are just there, and they are collecting this information and what we call exfiltration, that is sending this information out to a control center. And the people over there receive this information and they can use it either against you or just to do something funny.
Well, okay, well, we had a chat with the Director General of NITDA. Yes, we had a chat with him, and he talked about some of what NITDA. I think NITDA is supposed to be the regulatory agency in charge of online. So we actually had a chat with the Director General. I went to his office, I had tea with him. We actually had a very, very interesting discussion with him, and these are some of what we found out. Then we'll get to talk more as we return from it. So let's have my chat during my tea break with the Director General of NITDA. Good afternoon, sir.
Hello, Cecile. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You are welcome.
Thank you very
Have a
much.
seat, please.
Okay, thank you.
What can I offer you, please?
What
Would
do
you
you have to
mind
offer?
tea, water?
Tea is fine. Tea is
Okay.
fine. So, okay. Thank you very much. All right, I'll just help myself. It's okay. Thank
All
you
right.
very much. So you
Yeah,
want to
please
tidy
feel
up?
at home. Let me just tidy up.
Thank you very much.
I hope you are enjoying the tea.
Oh yes, pretty good for the weather. Thank you
That's
very
good.
much.
You are welcome.
Yeah, I see you are very, very busy, and trust me, I wouldn't want to take so much of your time. So I just want us to have a little chat. You know, you've been following the story of the hush puppies and those fraudsters online who have been trying to give Nigeria a bad name, even though we know we have many good people. I guess you've been following the story.
Sure.
So many people are wondering. I had a program last week, on this program last week. People asked many questions, and one of the main questions is, your agency, what are you doing? Are you working with other international bodies, police, Interpol, or other online security agencies to see that these activities of these guys are curtailed? We want to really know what the NIDA is doing.
Yeah, you know, NIDA is a regulator for IT in general.
Yeah.
And because of what is happening with the pandemic, like the pandemic has created a perfect storm for cyber crimes.
True.
Because what happened when the pandemic hit, everything was migrated to digital platforms. And also there was fear, uncertainty, and doubt and chaos. So people were in panicking mode because of the pandemic. So everybody was looking for a secure base. So the cyber criminals used that situation to exploit people and perpetrate their own crimes. Because mostly what they do is social engineering.
Social engineering.
Yeah, social engineering is about targeting your emotion to get information from you. Like someone can send you information about coronavirus essentials, or like there are a lot of fake websites around selling COVID-19 essentials, like the PPE and other things, whereby you will go there, put your information, your credit card information, you make payment, but you won't get deliveries because the things were out of stock. People were looking for these things to buy. So they were exploiting all that. And also, you know, when what the social engineering does, it will make you to lose the sense of better judgment.
Panic.
Yes. You are in panic.
Yeah.
You are this pandemic, you don't know what is happening. We never seen something like this in our living memory.
So, but, I mean, why should I just go and click on the site if I'm not sure? Is it that I would have had a contact with somebody, or how do I know the site I'm clicking and entering my details are fake?
Like mostly they will send you email, for example, saying information about coronavirus vaccine or the pandemic, how is it, the effect of the pandemic around the world. So people are hungry to know about the information.
Yes.
So people will click, and sometimes you see it's just an image, but the image is weaponized with code.
Wow.
All you need to click on that on that image, then the code will get into your system like a malware to steal information about your bank details, about your username and password.
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah, so, because everybody was looking for information, nobody knows what is happening about the virus. So you see a lot of fake website with coronavirus, with COVID-19, a lot of emails. Like even in Nigeria, you see a lot of websites saying government is paying lockdown fund, government is giving palliative for people complying to stay at home order. So people will think, because they will make the website to look like something authentic, real, original website, then people will be tempted to check what is happening. And they will start asking you about, are you a Nigerian, yes or no? Do you have a bank account, yes or no?
Wow. Okay, we need to know really many more of these ways that, because we know that some of these hackers also go through children's app. Since children are online now, sometimes they get to enter your accounts and all those details through your children's app. But let's pause and talk about does NITDA work with IT professionals in agencies, ministries, and all that to actually up their own security online? Because we know that some of these hackers, fraudsters, they enter company websites and all. So do you have some kind of training? Do you work with IT professionals in some of these ministry departments and agencies?
Yeah, we do three things at NITDA. Firstly is awareness. Because technology cannot protect you 100%. Over 90% of breaches are as a result of human error, providing your information where you are not supposed to do. So we do a lot of awareness in terms of the MDAs, the public, because we have SAT, computer emergency response readiness, where we have tools. We collaborate with other countries, with Interpols and other government agencies. We share information. So when we see anything about this fake news, we make awareness, we let people know. And also we tell people the do and don't. Then we do more about prevention. How can we prevent it from happening?
Yes, that's important.
So in terms of prevention, we came up with regulatory instruments like Nigerian Data Protection Regulation. It is about how can I comply with data protection and privacy, because we collect a lot of information, personal information from citizens. So all organizations collecting this kind of information, they're supposed to comply with this data protection regulation, so that you can only collect information when you need it and you have a legitimate work you want to do with it, and you are not allowed to share it with any other person. Because mostly for someone to defraud you, he needs to have some of your personal information to do so. Then lastly, not the least, we do a lot in terms of response. For example, all these fake websites, if we didn't succeed in preventing it, we respond to it by shutting it down. So we identify them, we exchange information with our partners around the globe and within the country, and we shut down the websites.
Okay, let's do this. Educators, how can the public get access to you? I mean, if I have an information of a fake website or from fraudulent activities, how do I get to access you? Sometimes the whole bureaucracy protocol can be so discouraging. So how can the public get to access?
At NITDA, we are very active on social media. You can get to us through our Twitter, our Facebook, our mobile. We have phone numbers on our website, our email, And we also have the SAT unit. There is emergency contact number for the SAT unit as well.
And I wouldn't call and someone will keep me waiting for 4 hours?
No, sure.
Okay.
You will get instant response.
Okay.
And even if it is a Twitter, you can tweet us and we respond immediately.
Yeah, you are tech. You should be able to. You should be able to get all that done very quickly. And what kind of complaints do you expect the public to come bring to? Because trust me, Nigerians that we know, they will just call you. I have not received my palliative. So what kind of complaints comes to NTA?
A lot comes about to verify the authenticity of all those fake websites. Because I remember there was a time even the website people were saying is NTA is going to pay 30,000 for people. But in the website there is nothing like NTA, they call it lockdown fund. But I don't know why people were saying NTA is going to pay 30,000 for compliance with the NCDC guideline.
Okay.
So we immediately issued advisory notes and we shut down the website.
Any last word from you, especially for many Nigerians who today, of course, we never live online. Children are online, every family will live a life online. So now it's really not safe. So what do we do?
Never before has cybersecurity been more critical as it is today, because the pandemic has forced you and I to embrace new practices such as social distancing and remote everything. So everything is going back digital or is going digital. Therefore, we need to be more conscious of how we keep our personal information, like our password. Sometimes you see people using the same password for all logins, like your email, Zoom, website, everything, the same password to log into several. It is wrong, because if one is compromised, the rest will be compromised as well. So be sure of using a strong password, a combination of uppercase and lowercase, and character as well. Then also make sure your device is always up to date, your mobile device and your desktop. It does, because the hackers exploit all these vulnerabilities. Mostly the device manufacturers come up with updates when they notice vulnerability on the previous version. So you need to patch it to be safe. So then also make sure you use antivirus and don't share your personal information with anybody.
Very important. Okay, I just told you that was the last question, and this one is the last question. You know, sometimes we'll get these biodata forms. They'll ask you to fill your BVN, to fill your account number, your name, and passport and everything. How risky, and we submit it to the officials who come to collect it, or sometimes we'll do it online. How safe is it?
That's why we came up with the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation, because those organizations collecting the information, they have responsibility to secure those information. And if they breach it, there is a fine for it. Like recently we fined Lagos Inland Revenue for breaching the NDPR regulation.
Oh, okay. So they can be fined.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Director General, thank you very much. I guess I'll let you get back to work, and I'll just finish my tea. And
thank you. It's a pleasure having you. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
I hope you enjoy the tea.
Well, that was my chat with the Director General of NIDA. He educated us quite a bit on how to stay safe and some of the policies that NIDA has put in place to ensure that our online space is safe. Ime, you're listening to that.
Yes, thank you. I think he mentioned something quite interesting, and that is that COVID-19, provides the perfect storm for cyber heists. And if you could recall in one of the slides we spoke about, where we have the story of salmon, and during the time for them to procreate, they try to struggle to go to the lower waters, and so that they can procreate. And as they are struggling to survive, on this other side are the bears. Bears,
Okay.
yes. So bears, they eat the salmon. So the bears, before that procreation season, the bears naturally finds it difficult to get the salmon. So during the procreation season, the bears find it quite easy because the salmon now jumps up, goes to take to the lower
Do you have
waters.
any of this?
Yes, I have the slide.
Okay.
Yes, you can see it projected there.
Oh, okay.
And you can see the bear is just standing quietly, and the salmon there jumping up to the bears. Now, it's quite easy now for cyber attackers. The bear there represent the cyber attackers, and the salmon there represents the users, us, everyone. Now we are struggling to survive in the cyberspace. And before now, it was difficult for attackers, to get your information. But now you are taking the information to them.
Wow.
Before now, it was difficult for attackers to get into your sitting room. But now you're talking about gadgets, everything being connected, children having access to these devices. Before now, children never had those devices, and the attack surface was very, very, not as wide as it is presently.
Okay.
So with the COVID-19 stuff coming in now, and everybody moving into the cyberspace, not knowing that it's a very risky area to play in, the hackers are just there harvesting information, just like
okay.
the
just like the boss said.
Yes.
Okay, now let's talk about. There's something about how cyber criminals can actually access companies or executive documents and files and actually hack a company. I hear that's possible, true?
Yes, that is what is called business executive or business email compromise, which, it's a common form of attack where the attacker sends an email purportedly coming from the chief executive to maybe the chief financial officer, demanding for some financial transactions. And most often, many people still fall to this kind of cyber attack. But in fact, there are a lot of instances.
Okay.
There's even a typical one,
okay.
Not too long. It was very pathetic because the young man happened not to really know what was going on. And these cyber attackers actually sent a mail to a top executive in one of the big companies in Nigeria. And what happened, the fellow had to notify the police. And they did their job. And at the end, they were able to get someone.
I am not following. So they arrested the criminal?
They arrested, well, I wouldn't want to say criminal.
Okay.
But, he's a suspect. So they arrested the guy as a suspect, as a prime suspect, because his account was the one that was actually in the email, because the email demanded that they should transfer some money, millions of naira, into this particular account. And the police were, with that was a good lead for the police. Okay. And they were able to get the guy easily.
Okay.
Unknown to them that the guy was not actually the person that was responsible for that email. That was a typical business executive, business email compromise that was sent.
So meanwhile, he has been arrested already and
yes, they arrested
probably
him, and the normal police thing.
Yes.
He was subjected to some
torture.
Well, should we call it torture?
Well,
yes, yes, but normal way of trying to make him to speak out, which of course he wouldn't
so
say.
who was fronting with his email?
Unfortunately, it was later discovered that what he made a mistake. He opened an account which he never used for some years back. He actually opened the account because of the pressure from marketers, come open account with us. So he opened the account, provided his details, and that was all. And unknown to him that his account was being used to siphon, that's for the purpose of cyber crime. And it was not even his phone number that was on that account. It was another phone number. And I think they discovered that been able to make about 27 million or thereabout using that account to dupe people. So it was rather a very unfortunate incident because the young man over there was innocent. He never knew that his account was being used. And I think the lesson learned from that incident was that if you out there, you have accounts which you are not using. Sincerely speaking, I think it's not wise to leave all those accounts the way it is. Make sure you keep full track of all your accounts. Know them, know what is happening in those accounts. Because, the world is becoming very, very complicated, very complex.
Well, that's wise words. So if you have any account you have opened and you have not been using for a long time, please just go and close it. And don't bow to the pressure of maybe bankers coming to tell you, please open an account with my bank, even though you're not using it. Something like this can happen to you. All right, now we'll come back later for the last lap of this discussion. Meanwhile, let's go and have a look at this feature on online fraud and how actually they operate.
Friend, I pray to the Lord He has provided me with good contact for you, a trustful and honest person. I am writing to you from Ghana, where I am seeing to my dead father's estate and preparing for funeral. My father, a former supporter of Muammar Gaddafi, died with US $4 million in his accounts, which I am looking to entrust to you to help me get it out of the country.
This might be a reenactment, but make no mistake, an internet fraudster's email may appear like this. This email is intended to make you feel sorry for the spiritual brother or sister and make sure you are hooked with the added incentive of 20% of $4 million, which is $800,000 or 310 million naira. The fraudsters make you feel he or she is desperate and willing to part with serious money, when indeed it is actually you parting with the money. Internet fraudsters have cost the world economy close to $5 trillion since the year 2000. In Australia, $223 million was lost to internet fraud between January 2017 and June 2020. In 2017, an internet fraud cartel worth $52 million was forged in Nigeria. It has also been reported that internet fraudsters have brought in over $2 billion since inception of the Yahoo Boy in Nigeria. If we look at the loss of data for banks, thefts victimizing customers, we discover an unimaginable figure when this is translated into economic costs. The NDIC reports that 38 billion naira was lost in 2018 and 12 billion in 2017 to cybercrime or internet fraud. So, how do these fraudsters get your money? They do this either through phishing, spoofing, or pop-up fraud. These are used to obtain one's personal information. Another way is by using a Trojan horse, a virus, and record one's keystrokes and is delivered through an attachment, website, or pop-up windows. Another way is counterfeit websites or clone websites. So, how is it possible to spot a fraudulent mail or transaction?
First,
Yeah, I know spoofing, phishing are some of the terminologies used in cyber crime. Yes. All right, let me quickly take some questions. Remember to send in your questions before the show runs to an end, and the phone numbers will be showing on your screen. Please do send your questions, and I have a few here. And this one is saying, good day, presenter. The program is really educating, and I'm thinking the government needs to do more in terms of awareness, because most Nigerian youths now see cyber criminals as role models. This from Abdurrahman from Kwara State. Is it possible for someone to withdraw your money from your account using only your account number? Another person says, is it possible to withdraw money from your account using just your BVN? Another person says, interesting topic. Kudos to you guys. Please, can someone withdraw money from my account with my BVN? Okay, that's taken already. Please, good afternoon. My name is Helen from Kaduna. One Yahoo boy hacked my account. What can I do to make him not have access to it again? I want to take any of few of these ones quickly.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. If I might want to start with the issue of, account being compromised.
Okay.
Yes, because for instance, for one to gain access to your account, that means the account has been compromised.
Okay.
And one way to protect your account, just like the director Nida was trying to put up to us, is that you should try as much as you can to make your account, your password complex.
Complex, yeah.
Yes. And if you can see, there is a slide there. I think that's the last slide we have on password management, and we clearly states that your password is private to you. It's just like your toothbrush. So you should keep it private, and you should change it regularly. You know, you don't keep your password permanently. You should change it just like your toothbrush. So one of the ways to protect yourself online is to ensure that you constantly change your password and you make it complex, difficult. Excuse me. What I recommend I do in my own case is that sometimes I use my language. I'm from Akwa Ibom, yes, so I use Akwa Ibom, a statement in Akwa Ibom to create a password.
Wow, nobody can break that.
Well, if you try it, I see if you can spell some funny words in my language. That doesn't mean that you know my password, nevertheless. So, and then the second one on the BVN issue, it's a bit funny when I see people say, people access their account because they got access to their BVNs. And I think there must have been some exchange of information, because for you to pull out money from the banks, as far as I know today, there's some level of second level authentication. Sometimes people need to provide a token, and sometimes you have to, and it comes in soft form to your phone. So there must have been a handshake somewhere before that is possible, or there is really a serious compromise at some level in the entire transaction chain. So it might be possible, it might not be possible, but for it to be possible, there has to be some level of
exchange of
collusion somewhere. Yes.
Wow. Okay. My name is Israel Olalere. I'm watching your program. I'm 12 years old. I've been using phone since I was 5, and it's not Android now. I'm not using Android, but I love making cartoon. But I'm only using my mom's phone, but she promised to buy me an Android after Corona. All right, so, okay, that's some questions. Before, we still have so much more. Let me just take another one or two before we actually move on to your last words. Good afternoon, guys. You're all doing a wonderful job. Please, how do these thieves get their customers' details? Because I've received calls from them twice, but I never fell victim. Then another one says, my name is Daniel. How do I know that someone wants to scam me? Someone else asks, how do I know if I have actually been scammed, been hacked?
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to take the second to the last question there on how do I know
if someone wants
how do people get my
how do they get my details?
Yes, that takes us back to the earlier discussion, that one of the ways hackers get your personal information is when your systems, your phones are compromised. And that has to do with you downloading certain apps. Remember I mentioned malwares. There are some malwares, their function is just to collect information, exfiltrate data from your systems, from your devices, to a command and control center, where within those controls, they know what to do with that data. There are some people right now, their job, you may call them cyber hackers, but their job is just to gather personal information from any source as much as they could, and they sell them online as much as $100 per record. And to you it's harmless, because all they do is that they gain access to your phone, they get your data, your credit card details, they get other private information, and they go to a place called the dark web, and then they can trade this information. There are people that are ready to buy them online. And also sometimes on WhatsApp, our chat platforms, so people click on links anyhow without even knowing what those links are. You click on those links, some of those links have attachment behind them, and they download this malware, and innocently to you, they appear as if they are innocent or benign, but the truth is that they are actually exfiltrating a lot of information from your system.
All right, so let's quickly touch on updates and antiviruses. For instance, we have apps on our phones, and sometimes it asks us to update. If I don't update exactly what happens, I will just ask you this other question on viruses and antiviruses. Are all antivirus safe? And when I get virus into my system, does it mean that my system has been compromised?
Well, that is the first indicator.
Okay.
That your system has been compromised because you have viruses.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, for instance, your home, you'd suddenly discover that you woke up in the morning and you saw that what you kept is no longer there where you kept them. It shows that either someone has come in and changed. That means your door has been compromised. So your security has been compromised. So for the case of antivirus,
yes,
it is very necessary that at all times you have to update your antivirus so that for attacks like 0 days would be prevented, and it helps to make sure that your system at all times, is adequately secured from some of these malwares, because the antivirus companies, they work round the clock to develop this what we call counter attack, or counter systems to counter the activities of the attackers, and also to make sure they protect their own solutions, because every solution has what we call vulnerabilities.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned something about cleanup, about how do I get a cleanup? What's your last thoughts?
Okay, to sanitize.
Sanitize. How do I sanitize all my mails, my social media, my phones, and everything?
Okay.
To be sure that I'm safe.
Yeah, that takes us to what we may call basic cyber hygiene.
Hygiene.
Yes, if you want to relate that to the COVID-19 era, which we are presently, you see that the government tells us every day, make sure you have your hand sanitizer, your face mask, and the rest of the things. And the same thing applies online. You should constantly, sanitize your system. And one way to sanitize your system is to get the updates, regular updates, which of course the application owners or the system OEMs, what they do is that periodically they release this update. When they discover that the systems have vulnerabilities, they release the updates, and you are expected to download and install those updates, because those updates is to block those loopholes that the attackers always take advantage of to gain access to your private data.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I guess that will be the last word from you, Ime, or we want to add one more thing in just a few seconds. And
yes.
30 seconds.
Okay. Very quickly. As users and players in the cyberspace, the advice is that at all times you should be very conscious. You should know that the cyberspace is not like the physical space. You have to be conscious of that fact that there are bad guys out there, and you need to adequately protect yourself.
Now you know, of course you already know that there are bad guys out there and you have to protect yourself. So we've already educated on the many ways we can protect ourselves and our accounts. So this is where I'll round off the program. Next week, hopefully, we'll be talking another pandemic. Well, it's a pandemic. We are going to be taking a look at the issue of rape, the many angles and the many sides of it. Please do well to stay with us next week and send in your contributions. My name is Cecile Egbeli. Bye-bye.